when we're shutting down Air Force bases, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base gets shut down for a while. When commercial airlines are interfered with, they can't do their flight patterns because of these drones. That's weird. You can't tell me the government doesn't know what's going on here. And the fact they will not brief us, they will not level us with us, they won't answer questions in public, there's something really strange that's going on.
So, Senator, what I think you're saying is that Rosie could be right. They could be aliens.
Anything is possible.
Okay, if aliens are here, and I think throughout your hearings we've concluded that something is here, what are they doing? And maybe more importantly, why haven't they made contact?
Locally, one man has seen drones in the Metro East. Fox News' Patrick Clark joins us live with video you have to see with your own eyes. Patrick.
Yeah, that's right, Mandy. It seems apropos that we would be at the Science Center. We have Tom Friedman's Looking Up sculpture over my shoulder here. That's exactly what one man in Illinois has been doing. He's been looking up, and he caught some video with his phone that he's still trying to determine what exactly he saw. Take a look at this video that a viewer shared with us using his Galaxy S21 cell phone camera. He recorded this outside his home in Macoupin County, Illinois. The man, who asked that we not share his last name, narrates his video to best describe what he's seeing in early to mid-October and then as recent as Monday night. Whether these lights or drones are similar to videos that were seen from New Jersey is up for debate, but our Macoupin County resident says the UAPs would fly across the sky very fast in random patterns. He began recording and recounting what he's been seeing to his social media page, sharing with friends.
The last videos I took, Patrick, were last night. I started seeing the strange lights in September. I live in a rural area. I just started seeing weird light configurations, lights tailing each other, just some oddball things. So I just started following them around. No real optical equipment, just a cell phone. They were tailing each other, and I was seeing literally 50 different objects in the sky at night in October. It went from like early October till October 22nd, 23rd.
Tom says when he was observing the UAPs in October, they seemed to have almost a cat and mouse-like movements as if they were at battle. He stopped recording around November, but when he began watching the sky again in December, the drones, or UAPs, were more controlled in their nightly flights.
It just depended, just different lights. What I'm seeing now is not near the activity. They're more stable. You do see them every night. I seen, I think, 7 last night. I videoed them last night. They're more stable lights. They're white as they hover. And then as they start to move, they'll fire up with colored lights. They're red and a aqua colored, like a light green, I would say.
Yeah, so we as humans are learning more and more all the time. That term UFO is no longer used. It's UAP, which stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, but that even has been changed because it did not include underwater items. And so now it is still UAP, but it stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. Whether you call it a drone, a UFO, or UAP, it's still some unanswered questions for you and me.
But they have seen things they just cannot explain. A sheriff's lookout drone tethered to the ground captured this video.
We had something coming at us, and as it's coming at us, it stops, it does like a 180 in the air and then drives away. And then comes back and does like a giant U around us. So that's not normal for aircraft.
So this is really happening?
We think so. It's definitely something that whatever we're seeing, we can't figure out what it is.
It's about the drones over New Jersey. I saw this drone. There was one right over my farm. I don't want to sound paranoid that they were looking at me, but I looked at it. It looked at me, and then all of a sudden it took off. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
The government is insisting, don't worry, it's nothing.
Yep.
P.S. We don't know about it. And nobody believes that the government doesn't know about it.
No, we really, we were really, where we are in this country as Americans, and I don't care what Democrat, liberal, whatever you want to be, no one really believes the government.
The bottom line is that civilian drones don't fly in controlled U.S. airspace over restricted areas. They're not supposed to. We're seeing a rash of this. I have videos on my phone from Andrews Air Force Base, Langley Air Force Base. I wish the Pentagon and this administration would be consistent with their messaging, because all it's doing is turning people really away from trusting their government at a time, by the way, where trust is already at a historical low.
Okay.
All those drones over New Jersey. What's behind all of that?
Nothing nefarious, apparently. But they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody's wanting to get in the deal. But we're following it closely. So far, no sense of the danger.
And that was President Biden commenting last night on the drones flying over the Northeast. His administration claiming that out of the 5,000 plus sightings, fewer than 100 deserved an investigation, and that none present a national security or public safety risk. What about those 100 that need an investigation?
Well, I think Chairman McCall's a smart guy, and when you look at the possibilities out there, they could be an adversarial set of drones out there. They could be U.S. government drones, as we've heard, sniffing, so to speak, for radiation, and they could be, something otherworldly. So let's discount that and look at the two main possibilities.
But I tell you what worries me is the fact that these are over our military installations, and let's not ever forget that this administration allowed a Chinese spy balloon to fly across the entire continental United States, did nothing about it, and now they won't level with us about this. I think it's a big problem, Jesse.
I do too. But I have no idea what they are. It doesn't sound like you do either. And no one's telling anybody. So I'm just going to go with Rosie. And that's pretty bad.
As far as the second part of your question, that's a little more complicated. This is a topic that's been going on now in the U.S. government. Your taxpayer dollars have been paying for serious study for the last 70 years into the topic of UAP, or what was once known in the vernacular as UFOs. Right. This is all the while, and this is one of the reasons why I don't trust the Pentagon, because I was there. The whole time, the Pentagon was telling people UFOs are silly, UAP are silly, there's nothing to see here. We're spending millions of dollars of taxpayer money with the consent of the Department of Defense to investigate none other than UFOs. And exactly what's happening here. You have a air flight safety issue. In some cases, these UAP were getting so close to combat formations, they were literally splitting the combat formation down the middle. So think about that for a minute. Two F-18s flying in a combat formation, and these things splitting the formation right down the middle. My concern with these drones is right now, Rob, is that you have this schizophrenic approach within the U.S. government, and they're hoping at this point anything that will stick to the wall will work. And this is why they had a private conversation with the House Intel Committee. Notice how they didn't do it publicly. They just said, we're going to have a private conversation. This is after days and days and weeks of saying, folks, we have no idea what's going on here. We don't know if they're Russian. We don't know if they're ours. We don't know if there's something else potentially.
And your first question was if China or Russia. If Russia owned it, they wouldn't be battling in Ukraine. It'd be over. Putin's ego, it wouldn't have happened. China, they would control us. Even they pretty much do now, but even more so. So that goes back to my original premise. It's either something that's extraterrestrial or something that we have in our skunk works that we are reverse engineering.
The last 5 weeks, we have continued to cover whatever it is that's happening in the skies all over the world. Mysterious drones now being reported over parts of 50 states and in countries across the globe. And if you followed this story even just a little bit, you'll realize that what people are seeing and recording, this is not stuff that comes from this planet, and the complete silence on this topic from our government has only added fuel to the many theories that are now circulating right now on the internet. Dr. Stephen Greer is back with us. He's the founder of the Disclosure Project. Dr. Greer has been consistent with us for weeks that there is a disclosure coming before the presidential inauguration, which now leaves us with 10 days. Dr. Greer, it's great to have you back. This is where we are right now. A flight crew on a commercial airplane recorded this large orb in the skies while they were at 17,000 feet. And now people, we mentioned this a week ago, are reportedly getting sick all over the world from this granular, mysterious fog that's being seen all over the place. Right. Does this disclosure happen next week? And if it does, how does it happen? When it starts happening, how will we know?
Well, it'll be all over the news. It's good to see you again. I just heard about an hour ago from the, we call the NOC, he's non-official cover aerospace intelligence community, a senior operator from one of the key black sites, 2 black sites out in the western United States. And they are preparing to do this next week. I don't have an exact date. They intend to not only provide their testimony of operations, he's been there almost 30 years, but also the evidence and other details. Now, he's been involved in 2 things. One is the testing and the surveillance of the man-made UAPs that have been manufactured out of the Lockheed Skunk Works and Northrop Grumman complexes out in the high desert. Okay. The other is the targeting of non-human craft. Some would say extraterrestrial, some say alien. The words they're using now is NHI, non-human intelligence, and the downing of those objects. So he's been intimately involved. I've been at his facility, and that is on track. Now, keep in mind, so much of what is being seen now is sort of a decoy false operation, sort of trying to intercept what he's going to be doing and what we've been doing for some time.
But there's no way, Dr. Greer, we've talked about, there's no way all of this can be a false. It's all over the world now. It's being seen over cities in India, cities in South Korea. It's just the coordination that would be required to do something like that. I think it's beyond the scope unless there is something going on that I'm completely unaware of, which of course is a possibility.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Salas. In 1967, I was a first lieutenant stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. Sometime in the evening hours on March 24th, I received a call from one of my topside guards, the flight security controller, stating that they had been observing strange lights in the sky making odd maneuvers. He called back about 5 minutes later. This time he was screaming into the phone saying they're looking at an object, a red glowing object hovering just above our front gate. I went to wake my commander, Fred Mywald, who was taking a rest break, started to tell him about the phone call, and just as I told him, our missiles began going into what's called a no-go condition or unlaunchable. Essentially, they were disabled.
Are aliens already here? Yes or no?
Oh, sure. I mean, there have been non-human extraterrestrial civilizations that have been observing the planet for thousands of years, and it increased remarkably once we detonated the first atomic bomb. There's no question about that. In fact, this particular team coming forward have dealt with the remains and on occasion living non-human life forms that have been downed, and some are still in captivity in subterranean facilities or STIFs.
To me, Dr. Greer, feels like, and you answered my other question, it feels like right now the public worldwide is being primed for something. You know, for the last 50 years, we've had movies about aliens. Going back to Roswell, we've had reports of flying saucers. And now people, not just in northern New Jersey, are seeing strange things in the sky. It seems like these beings are technologically far superior than we are, and they're doing this with incredible patience, priming a worldwide audience for something else. Do you agree with that? And then what are they priming us for?
Well, it's very complex, but the bottom line it is they've been waiting for humans to acknowledge their presence so that they don't have to force into it, which could look aggressive, because they're not aggressive, obviously.
Force into it like land in Times Square, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to do something like that. They're going to do a sort of an acculturation and desensitization operation.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Which means it's gradual.
Okay.
And it has been over the decades. Now, the big problem here are rogue military-industrial complex operations that have reverse engineered these extremely advanced technologies and can use them in staged event. And this is where everyone, when I say everyone, I mean everyone from the generals that I have briefed at the Pentagon to director of the CIA, past, not incoming. And that is that they greatly underestimate what has been developed. I mean, Ben Rich, before he died, who was head of Lockheed Skunk Works, said, anything you can imagine, as you've seen on Star Trek, we've already figured out, and it's out there in the desert. He says, not Area 51,
Okay.
Talking about these
how
covert
far ahead of
blockade.
us? And the last time you were on, you said there are multiple different alien societies from different planets visiting
Right.
us.
Right.
How far ahead of us are they?
At least 60 to 70 that have been documented in the development of very powerful
If they
weapons.
landed, Dr. Greer, could they communicate with us?
I'm sure they can. I mean, I don't know how that would exactly take place. It may be some strange. I mean, remember, one of the things that Elon Musk is working on at Neuralink is an interface between thought and machine.
Right, right.
Now, I will tell you, this is a big secret that's going to come out very quickly with this team, because they've dealt with this, is that there is a direct interface between technology and consciousness and thought that's been developed by these advanced civilizations. This is not Ma Bell we're talking about here in terms of communication. So
Okay.
it's that's just a prelude. We don't have time to unpack that, but I know about that in a very specialized fashion.
Does Donald Trump need to appoint somebody like yourself as an alien czar or a UAP czar?
Well, this has been suggested. We'll see. I mean, of course, the president, you serve at his pleasure. As it is, I've been an unofficial advisor for many administrations on this. And now that this is going to be coming to a head, we'll see if he wants someone to do that. If I would certainly consider it if I was asked, but that has not happened.
Dr. Greer, I'm interested to see what's really going on out there. We've got 10 days before the inauguration.
As soon as this drops and we get this from this team, we'll send it over to you.
All right. Dr. Stephen Greer, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it as always.
Like a big eyeball, truth be told.
That's how Matthew Holt describes what he saw Sunday night. News 2 hasn't confirmed what these lights are.
Many of you across South Florida have been sending into our newsroom videos of what look to be like drone sightings. But how can you tell that what you're seeing is really a drone? Well, we took our eyes to the skies.
It was like a flashing white-green light. And we followed it, and I pulled over, and that's when I took out my camera.
This video Rebecca Davila shot on her phone in Plantation shows what she believes to be drones in the sky.
So there was no noise. We usually feel the airplanes here really loud, where we can actually, it kind of shakes a little bit our home sometimes because they take off from the airport. So there was no noise. It was very quiet. And also that circle of light was pulsating, and it was getting brighter. And I even took pictures, and it didn't look like a planet or a star. It looked like something very different that my eye has ever seen.
And miles away in Sweetwater, Eric Stanley saw something similar.
And then I saw all the weird colors, and I was like, this doesn't look like a drone to me. Like, it's more like a plasma ball.
Sightings of what looked to be like orbs and drones, like this spotting near the 79th Street Causeway, leaving people confused.
What else would it be?
Reports of unexplained drone sightings across America have many concerned, including here in Oklahoma.
We've been getting reports of mysterious drones here in the metro.
The mysterious drones, which have caused so much anxiety and constant media attention, you said if it's not a craft from outer space, and I think that has to be on the table, so are you not ruling out aliens?
Oh, well, I think everything's on the table. I mean, I've been in some briefings where specifically about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were in a skiff in a classified setting, and I can't share what shapes these are. But there are actually 2 specific shapes that have been, there's footage and photographs of them in the skies that the federal government, the U.S. federal government cannot identify and don't know what they are. So I think that all options are on the table. With regard to the drones, I think it's very clear it's the U.S. government. I think it's very clear the U.S. government is lying to the American people and to Congress because we don't really know what's going on. I do believe that at least Congress has the right to know so we can pacify some of the safety concerns and fears that people have all along the eastern seaboard.
So when the Biden team says there's no national security threat here, you're still skeptical?
I am very skeptical. I don't believe anything the White House, the Biden administration says at this point. I don't think anybody should.
Okay.
It's perplexing.
Mysterious sightings have continued across the United States, some even being spotted in Oklahoma. Sherry Rogers lives in Midwest City. She says she saw a drone Thursday night.
It was bright lights, and they were pulsing. They would go dim, and then they would go bright. You know, it was just kind of hovering there.
Rogers says that was the first time she's ever seen an unmanned aircraft.
That's the first thing that occurred to us, was that it was a drone sighting.
Well, the buzz around mysterious flying objects is gaining traction in Middle Tennessee as several people in Murfreesboro say they saw bright lights hovering in the night sky yesterday.
Drones in the sky. The FAA, DHS, FBI, and DOD have said that there is no national security threat, but they did confirm there have been some drones seen flying near or over military installations.
And some people in South Florida have claimed to have seen them in their own backyards.
That is wild.
Gazing up at the night sky, now a focal point of conversation. Reports of drone sightings across the country are climbing, and some are voicing concerns.
Not a commercial airliner. It's hovering. It's sitting right there.
From Hernando Beach.
That is not a plane. That is so low.
To this sighting in St. Pete.
Definitely keep your eyes to the sky, and there's something interesting happening.
Diego Paul captured it on camera and now looking for answers. Alarming?
That is definitely alarming. The fact that they haven't been able to determine what it is.
It wasn't making any sound. So that seemed a bit unusual to me.
Ray Eckstein was in New Tampa when he saw this flying in the sky.
We have people in authority that are telling us on the one hand that there's nothing to worry about, and then on the other hand, that they don't know what they are.
It appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
Matthew Holt, who lives in Murfreesboro, says he walked outside after work to see these bright lights in the air near Interstate 24, and he's not the only one curious to find out what these objects might be.
We need to know where is this coming from, who is behind this, what type of information are they trying to gather.
I reached out to retired FBI Assistant Director Frank Figluzzi about the federal response to these sightings. While he says drone sightings will become more common as drones become increasingly more popular, he says he's in favor of more regulation and intelligence sharing.
Even I am uncomfortable that once we've ruled out, say, a foreign threat, a national security threat, I still see a gap here. I see a gap in our government and the ability to take accountability, centralized one agency accountability, and the ability to track and trace the origin of a drone.
Mr. Figluzzi also says communication across federal, state, and local governments would also improve transparency. Tipton wasn't available for an interview, but says in a statement, the activity happening in New Jersey and across the country is unsettling. While we've only had a few reports of drone activity in Oklahoma, we want to be ready in case the need arises.
We have the capability to shoot it down. We just won't, or we can't, right? And then somebody brought up a really good point. Well, so the White House position was, well, we don't want to endanger the public, right? If we shoot one of these down, it come down, it could hit somebody's house. And yet there's these incidents with the U.S. Coast Guard where you have up to 10 of these things literally stalking a U.S. Coast Guard cutter. And you're out in the middle of the ocean. Why can't you bring it down there? Right. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It's the explanation of, oh, by the way, these are all lawful, so don't shoot them down, but we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know who owns them. We don't know where they're going. We don't know what they can do. And they are oversensitive military installations. I think is not only utter nonsense, I think it's a disservice to the American people.
So the FAA issuing a ban on drones over key areas of New York and New Jersey as the mystery over those sightings continues. Now, local officials, they want more answers from the federal government, and they want more information. And Pequannock Township Mayor Ryan Hurd is among those pushing for answers. He says the drones pose an invasion of privacy to local residents.
Do I buy it? Absolutely not. See, here's the problem. You know, we are now almost 2 weeks into this since I penned the letter 2 weeks ago Sunday, and we had 21 mayors that actually signed that letter. Up until now, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of posturing, but there has been no action. We still have no idea what's going on. You know, I do think we know. I think our administration currently is absolutely useless. That's the difference between the current administration and the administration that is coming in. 2 weeks ago, Trump said that the federal government knows exactly who this is and what they're doing. And that's fine. Why don't they tell us? If it's some kind of operation to remap something or whatever, that's fine. But now we're weeks into this. And the biggest issue is this. When we're not answering the American public's questions.
And we'll see what happens come mid-January. Ryan Hurd, I appreciate it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. And hopefully we get some answers for you and others wondering what the heck's going on up there.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to you.
Lights in the sky above Dillsburg?
You're seeing that, right?
It's one of many recent reports of lights in the sky above the Susquehanna Valley we've heard about in recent days.
What started out as drone sightings across the East Coast has now appeared in the night sky over Minnesota. Several reports from different parts of the state with blinking lights and flying objects that haven't yet been identified. Fox 9's Rob Olson has been going over all that footage. He joins us live now. All right, Rob, what do you think's going on here? What do the people you've been talking to think's going on?
Well, nobody knows what's going on. That's the problem, is that there's so many questions about what is this? If the government doesn't know, are they trying to find out? Is there anything to worry about?
Lights are extremely bright. They're not blinking. Once it turns to the side, they just glide.
Stephanie Guzman took this video out her window Thursday night in Woodbury. Things that moved like drones but were shaped like diamonds, like a small airplane, she said. She has no idea what they were, except they moved in tandem.
It was just like they were just floating and hovering and moving gently this way and then sliding this way, but they were fast. And once they decided to leave the area, it was like gone.
This video came to us from New Prague, a woman who said the strange lights she saw did not move or flash, but they were also, to her eye, not explainable.
There's another one up there. Oh, crap.
A few days ago, we showed you these videos from a family in Northfield who've seen strange lights since summer.
It wasn't the birthday surprise Josh Fall was expecting.
I looked out into the horizon and I saw about 6 or 7 orbs, I guess, and they were moving around in formation. They were disappearing. They were reappearing at times.
He was treated to a light show courtesy of these unidentified objects in the sky late Thursday night.
It looked peculiar. It was more bright than an ordinary star, and then it was moving. And then I thought that was a little bit weird. It wasn't flashing like a plane or anything like that.
But it wasn't just the Fall family that caught the lights in action. Several people reached out to Global News saying they witnessed the strange occurrence as well, including Evan Ginsberg.
I've never seen anything quite like this. It was incredibly bright. The objects were sort of dancing around at times as well. It was a privilege to see this. It was really interesting, and it was sort of, I was awestruck by it almost in a way.
Just 2. Watch closely in this video from North Grafton. It shows a pair of lights slowly moving past each other in the night sky.
There's one right there.
In Harwich, Lindsay Muto sharing this video with Boston 25 News. She counted more than a dozen last night.
Oh my gosh, at least 15. They looked like they were far away, but they kept coming down and then going back up, coming down and going back up, and then slowly going left and right.
Another video shows lights hovering in the sky near Lynn, another coming in from Saugus, and yet another near Plainville, all raising questions.
Are we safe? I mean, what's going on? I have little kids. It just makes us nervous.
The sightings are similar to those reported over New Jersey in the last few weeks.
Everybody talking mysterious drones making headlines again. This time they're being spotted from one coast to the other, from Connecticut to New Jersey to California. Large drones being reported flying at night, leaving many residents wondering what exactly is going on. And they're not the only ones. These sightings sparking questions on Capitol Hill, too. And many of you have emailed us with pictures and videos showing sightings here in Colorado.
Well, this is not the first time something like this has come up in Colorado. Back in December of 2019, we had a lot of similar drone sightings all across our state, and now they're starting to be seen again.
Captivating audiences in backyards across Colorado.
All of a sudden there was like this bright light, and it wasn't just the bright light, it was the lights the way they were on this, whatever it was. They were not conformed like the plane.
She didn't catch it on video at her home in Aurora, but in Elizabeth, someone else did.
It was flying very low, and it would kind of like stop, and then it would go, and it would go very fast, and then it would stop, and then it would go. So it was just really, I just thought it was really strange.
Say they are seeing mysterious lights described as drones in the sky. It seems to have first started in New Jersey, and now it's happening here in Gaston County. These are viewer videos sent to WCCB of lights in the sky. These videos were taken Thursday night in different parts of Gaston County, Bessemer City, Cramerton, Belmont, even one from Cleveland County near Shelby. Lawmakers are demanding answers. The Department of Homeland Security says people are probably just seeing small aircraft.
Not small aircraft. Small aircraft do not contort, change shapes, and change colors. They do not dart across the sky. I don't feel like it's a threat, but I think they know a little more than they're letting on, and I don't know. I think it's exciting.
Let me calm those nerves. We have not seen anything unusual. We have not seen any unusual activity. We know of no threat. We know of no nefarious activity.
So these mysterious aircraft, they're a big talker in Washington, D.C. Lawmakers from multiple states keep asking for answers as more and more people report sightings.
But with so many more people, with so many more mysterious sightings in more places like Woodbury, Minnesota, answers, they say, would be nice.
And it doesn't feel good. There's no answers. I think we all need to demand answers, and I think that's a collective agreement.
And that's really the concern here, is finding out exactly what these are, who's behind them, what they are doing, if there's a simple answer or not. It's clearly probably not a whole bunch of people with things like this, just flying them at night just to scare people. But again, what is it? Who are they from? This is the call that we're hearing more and more across the country. But again, we got 4 or 5 different emails today from people in this area with similar sightings.
There's so many. It's like 10. And they're all over the city.
He recorded this video, which he thinks shows 10 massive drones flying over Temecula and Murrieta last night.
And now multiple reports of another object in Temecula, California.
It was quiet. It didn't make any noise.
I think the public has a right to know what is flying above the skies and what the purpose is.
Another Temecula man recorded what he believes was a car-sized drone flying over his home earlier this week. He checked FlightAware and says there were no planes flying nearby at the time. Advanced analysis could be done by CBS, and it was. It did not confirm that these mysterious lights are drones. Both the Riverside County Sheriff's Department and Camp Pendleton say they did not have drones in that area. On the East Coast, local leaders, including New Jersey Senator Andy Kim, are demanding answers.
I'm just not getting the kind of communication and engagement when it comes to the investigation that's happening by the FBI, Homeland Security.
Now, since last month, more than 3,000 of these sightings have been reported across at least 6 East Coast states. Some of those reports have come from law enforcement and elected officials. At one point, the FAA also issued a temporary flight restriction because of these sightings. The reports have even been made in the area of a New Jersey naval weapons station and Donald Trump's golf course. President-elect Trump weighing in on the sightings, posting mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now, otherwise, shoot them down.
Mysterious drones continue to be spotted nightly over New Jersey and New York, and now new reports of drones over Connecticut. Their origin remains elusive, publicly at least.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat.
just weird. I don't know what it is.
That is a sentiment shared on Capitol Hill.
I've been a little frustrated. There hasn't been enough transparency.
We should be shot down if necessary because they're flying over sensitive areas, whether it's planes that may be jeopardized or security at military bases.
Certainly I understand why people would be looking at this and being concerned about it.
The White House responded to repeated questions suggesting some of these objects may be regular aircraft. Either way, no threat.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat or have a foreign nexus.
One New Jersey lawmaker was unconvinced.
That guy's an idiot. That I can tell you right now, because the colonel of the state police told the members of the state legislature that one of his helicopters was hovering above a 6-foot wide drone, and he landed that helicopter because he felt unsafe for his pilots.
Both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security say they are still looking into these reports to determine whether these are in fact drones or perhaps something else.
More drone sightings were reported just outside LaGuardia Airport.
I'm getting multiple calls for drones. I have about 5 to 10 drones hovering in LaGuardia.
And still, no one knows who launched them.
So what's going on? Is this some contagious mass hysteria? Or are people really seeing something that our government cannot identify? Our own Rich McHugh went out drone hunting in New Jersey. He did not come back empty-handed. Rich, tell us what you saw.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing, but what was I seeing? We're here in Central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones. Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted the state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow. In more than a month since these reports started, the federal government doesn't know what they are either. What's your message to the White House?
My message: come to the Jersey Shore. I know it's wintertime, but come see what we see, and then, maybe have a better appreciation for why our residents are concerned.
You know, the Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, you know, to me, if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need the answers, frankly.
Local lawmakers today are demanding answers. One congresswoman says she feels like she's in an alien movie.
20 years ago, they filmed War of the Worlds on Staten Island. And now we feel like we're characters in that movie. What is happening is outrageous.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim says he went out with the state police last night and personally observed 5 to 7 lights in the sky. Maryland's former Governor Larry Hogan says, "Last night, I personally witnessed and videoed what appeared to be dozens of large drones in the sky above my residence in Davidsonville, Maryland, 25 miles from our nation's capital. I observed the activity for approximately 45 minutes.
Last night, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan says he captured this video appearing to show dozens of large drones hovering over his home. The same evening, U.S. Senator Andy Kim says he saw this over a reservoir while out drone hunting with local police.
Some appear to hover or at least seem to be in position.
All right, well, Aaron, you are in New Jersey. You've seen a number of aircraft tonight.
That's right, Lester. In the last half hour, we've seen a number of what appear to be drones, all flying erratically with flashing lights.
And on the other hand, if they're not drones, what could they be? The sightings in New Jersey are not isolated incidents either. Similar reports have emerged from parts of the United States and indeed all over the world. And this global pattern of sightings adds another layer of complexity to the mystery. As we continue to grapple with these questions, what's clear now is that further investigation is needed. The US government has shown increased openness, of course, in recent years to discussing unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, and perhaps these sightings will prompt a more thorough examination of our skies and what might be flying in them. In the meantime, residents of New Jersey and beyond will be undoubtedly keeping their eyes on the skies. Well, let's take a look at another clip that shows these mysterious lights from a slightly different angle.
Yeah, that's no plane. That is definitely a drone. First of all, a plane wouldn't even be this low. So, to all who say they look like planes, trust me when I tell you, if a plane was flying this low in this area, we'd have a lot to be concerned with.
Wow, so the precision displayed there and the coordination in this footage are truly remarkable. It's not something I've seen before, and it's not hard to see why some experts are now leaning towards this drone swarm theory. But the intrigue doesn't stop there, because some witnesses reported hearing unusual sounds accompanying these mysterious lights too. One resident described the noise as similar to a strimmer, a garden strimmer, or even a swarm of bees.
Governor Larry Hogan shot this video last night. These lights over his hometown in Davidsonville, just 25 miles from the nation's capital, as he pointed out. And then there's this.
I've never seen them. Wow, they just passed each other. Yeah, I've never seen them before.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim shared this video of drones he shot yesterday. Federal authorities insist most of these sightings are actually legally manned aircraft. But Senator Kim says he checked a flight tracker app while capturing this video and that the devices he was capturing were not on it. The sightings are happening near LaGuardia Airport, too. Officials say they received unconfirmed reports of drone activity over that busy airport. As for numbers, the FBI says it's received more than 3,000 tips from the public about drone sightings going back to November 18th, all over New Jersey. Since then, there's been an average of 92 sightings per night and expanding across half a dozen states. In a joint statement, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security said, quote, "We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat, or that they have a foreign nexus."